fine.
How's
It's
it going,
my
guys?
fault now.
We're welcome to another typology interview. We have Gray. How are you doing, Gray?
I'm doing pretty good,
Yeah,
got like lots of energy today. So
yeah. So interesting case about you is you weren't actually officially typed by call or whatever, but I was sort of there in the background while you were sort of discovering your type, and just the way you discovered it and the way you got to your type was really good because you were triangulating off of people. You found someone that could have been a type cousin or a type twin, and then you're like, no, and then yes. And so like going through that process very extrovertedly so everyone could see it was interesting to see. So can you tell
yeah.
us a little bit about your journey?
So when I got into MBTI originally, I was about 13 and I took the the infamous 16 personalities quiz, and I got ESFP. And, at the time I was like, oh yeah, I'm the life of the party. I am so good with people's feelings. I am so in touch with my feelings. I am the most feely person on earth. And that's not true at all. But at the time I thought it was true. And then when I got older and I kind of realized like, no, I'm kind of a jackass. I take it again because that's what you do, right? Well, that's not true. Let's try again with my real self. And over and over and over again, I finally settle on ENFP. And then I discover OPS and I say, oh, this is garbage. And I throw it out the window. And then I go back because they have identified something that I cannot let go of, which is jumpers. And I keep having it go over and over again in my mind. I'm seeing it everywhere. I think it's true. I've been into this stuff for years. They've got something. So then I get into OPS and I do exactly what they tell me to do because I have DE to hell and back. And I say, hey, friends of mine who are lightly into OPS, if we throw out all of the assumptions, what type do you think I am? And they're like, they don't do the hours of footage. They don't do the proper typing at all, but they do know me. And they say, well, you're kind of a bitch. You're kind of a lot. And that means, you're kind of, and we hate to say that you're kind of like probably an ESTJ or ENTJ. And I was like, oh no, oh man. And I was like, I really didn't like it. I really did not like it because that meant that I was the monster under everyone's bed. And I don't want to be the monster under everyone's bed, but I am. So as I was accepting that, I was trying to find more and more OP communities to kind of uncover more about it, understand it better, like really dive deep because I just couldn't what was going on in my head. I needed to understand it. And they were saying things, OPS was already saying things I agreed with about growth. And, they were saying a lot of things that resonate with me because I've been into Jordan Peterson. So I find the Discord and I start spewing all of my trying to type myself all over the Discord. And, I've gotten a lot of typings from a lot of different people giving their opinions on who I am. And ultimately, we all agreed on one thing: masculine TE at the top,
Yeah.
feminine FI at the bottom. And the thing that we've been fighting about, not we as in you and me, but just that everyone has been debating is we see masculine sensory, but is it OI or is it OE?
Yeah.
And I look at my life and I don't disagree that I have double observing. I know I have double observing. And I understand that savior SIs often feel like they don't organize enough for their own good. And they think that they need to do more. And then I watched a dear friend's video. She is savior SE. And I watched her video and I realized, I'm watching this and she talked about some of her problems. And I watched that and I just was like, oh man, this is me. And I was just like cringing out of my seat. I didn't talk about it in my videos because I'm freaking out about people, but she's talking about her struggles. And I was like, oh my God, holy crap. I forgot to tell them that I forgot to tell everybody. Oh, by the way, every time I try to I want to go back to school, I'm like about to do it. And then I bail because I'm like, no, I need to, what if I want to do something different? I can't commit. No, I can't go back to school now. What if something changes?
Right.
What if we move? We did move. I was right. But that doesn't mean it was right for me to not go back to school. And every time I ran into, all right, it's time to do the plan. I'm like, no, I got to jump ship and do something else. I got to go find something else to do. And
Yeah, that's really good because if you had SI, you might also not want to go back to school, but it would have been for a different reason, not for the same reason. Yeah.
Right. And I think that there would have been step by step committing. And it's not that I want to me, I'm looking at what's any. Let's really look at any. That is exploring in the conceptual world. That gathering is in the concepts. And I'm like, no, get out of here. Everything comes back to the same thing. Everything keeps coming back to, I don't know who I am and I don't know what I want. So get rid of this new. No, it's not a new reason. It's not a new idea. The problem is me and myself and my trajectory. It's like if I'm responding every time to somebody's typing with, well, what about my ideas? What about my trajectory? My trajectory is wrong. It's like, well, wait a second. My protests are in the language of NISE. Like I'm literally protesting in NI. I'm saying you're not seeing my NI. You're not seeing my NI over and over again. And that's like, of course they're not seeing it. It's my inner fucking world. Like they're not going to see it. I'm swimming in it, which is why I thought I was an NF type, but no one else has any idea. And that's
so you're twin type 2 with Tony Robbins, right?
Twin type with Tony Robbins and Chelsea Handler. I was telling you earlier that I binge watch her every week.
Right.
And I've
So
been
like, do you identify with them at all as being a twin type?
So I watched recently a Tony Robbins clip about relationships, and he talks about if you want, like, the only way you're going to have a good relationship is if you commit to that person and you really fight for it and you make them part of your trajectory. And that's what I did when I met my husband. Is I just was like, I'm you. I want you. I will do whatever it takes to make this work. I am the person who is with you. That is, I've made this part of my identity now. I am the person who is with you. And now I'm going to be who it's necessary to be the person with you. And that's like, he said that. I was like, that's what I learned in my relationship. I learned in my relationship that exact lesson because he's telling me, like, whenever you talk to a type one, like you listen to a type twin and you hear their lesson, a lot of the times it's a thing that you may have discovered in one area, but you haven't discovered in all the areas. And that's why seeing it in relationships, I'm like, oh yeah, I know that message. And I was like, oh man, he probably has good things to say about like everywhere else in my life. So I've been, and same thing with Chelsea, her processing stuff that went on with her family. I've had to process a lot of stuff with her family. And she talks about she was abandoned. She can't trust men. She can't trust people. And I'm like, I understand. And I had to process that too. And it's like, well, maybe I should listen to her and what else she's processing because there's stuff I probably haven't processed that, she might have the answers to. So yeah, I find their knowledge and their processing to be very in tune with what I've discovered as well.
Really cool. Awesome. So yeah, it's really good that like I saw you get to your type and I was like, yeah, you're right. That is your type. It's good. So, no need to get typed by anyone else. Come on the show. It's great.
Yeah. I do intend, I do have a YouTube channel, which is linked.
Yeah, we'll talk.
But
let's talk about it now then. Yeah.
Yeah. All I was going to say is that I do intend on just getting I do actually want to go to Dave and Jen just so I can talk to them because I'd like to have a conversation with them before I start. I would like to talk a little bit about their system. So I just want to kind of get their blessing and say, hey, I just want to describe it, like not take it over at all. Just describe and talk about it.
Tribe permission.
Is it okay? Well, yeah. But I also wanted to be like, before I like, I do want to talk to you because I do respect your system a lot and I do want to connect before I go out and preach. So yeah, I need to play a little bit before I'm allowed to blast. And that was something interesting about the type journey is everyone's saying there's so much blast. It's like, yeah, but am I really blast over play though? So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, double activated TE play blast. It's going to look very similar to blast play.
Cranked up all the way. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about your TE then a little bit. That's the one thing everyone saw was obvious. It made sense to everyone. Masculine TE. Why was it so? I don't know. Why did it stand out so much?
Why does it stand out? Well, it's masculine TE double activated at the very top. It literally is the most intense extroverted function you can have at the top. And it's not that FE can't be intense like that. But the difference is when you're looking at TE, it is not, FE will sometimes take a step back and let other people vibe because it's more important for the tribe to be connecting and sharing the values and being in the good value space. And TE looks at the good value space and says, yeah, that's cool. But have you considered making the world work for you? Have you considered getting your life together? Have you considered that we all need to be making it work? We don't have time for feeling good. Let's go. And like, that's a lot. And so as soon as I can be slow kind of starting up, but as soon as my energy does ramp up, it's very clear. I have a lot of trouble giving a shit about values other than my
Right.
own. And so it becomes
Yeah.
immediately apparent how intense it is. So
I mean, I've been seeing, so Dave and Chan talk about channel changing, and I've been seeing that that's something similar with all the functions, is that like the extroverted functions are changing the channel more often than the introverted ones. Do you see that in your TE as well, that you're changing the channel all the time with thinking? Like you
okay,
don't want to stay
so
in one. Yeah.
sort of. So it's more like, okay, so I imagine when I think about the extroverted decider, it is your weaponry. It is what you're going to bring to solve the problem, which is the outer world. So how are you going to punch through the outer world? So if you have a feminine extroverted function, extroverted decider function, then you're going to have softer, more gentle weapons, but they're still weapons. And if you have a masculine one, it's really intense. And for me, if one weapon doesn't work, I have another one ready to go. I have the biggest weapons arsenal you've ever seen. I have nuclear bombs, I have guns, I have swords, I have whatever, I have words, I have whatever it takes to win, I've got it. And that's why I will, okay, the nuclear bomb didn't work. Okay, now I'm going to throw swords at you. Now I'm going to throw guns at you. Now I'm going to throw whatever it takes. And that's it's going to be non-committed because I'm not committed to any one path of making it work. I just want to win. I just want it to work. And once I do that, once I do win, then I'm like, okay, now I can go have my feelings in the corner. Yay. So
Yeah.
I think it does channel change, but in a very
I
unpleasant
mean,
way.
do you also see it as gathering thoughts as well, like gathering thinking from the tribe?
Unconsciously. I would say that it's almost like the double observing and the TE kind of gang up to figure out how everything works. And when I first joined the Discord, I sat back and I did talk a little bit on chat, but I really watched and I saw I actually looked for who was talking the most, who was getting the most reactions, because I wanted to know who was in charge, who was I not supposed to mess with, because that way I would basically, I wanted to make sure that I understood, okay, when they talk, who has the best reasons, who is making it work the most. And that means you need to know who the admins are because they're the one who's making the Discord work. You have to know how it works if you're going to interact. So I sat there and I watched before I did anything. I was like, okay, I need to know how the system works. I need to know how this group works. Because the instant that I start interfering without knowing how it works, then I'm going to fuck it all up. I want it to work. In reality, I want the Discord to function. And as such, I have to sit there and pay attention to what's going on. So,
Yeah. Do you also resonate with the idea that you have the tribe's voice in your head? Like you're just hearing, people are arguing with you all day in your head?
more like I'm arguing with them all day in my head. They aren't winning. They never win in my
Right.
head. They win all the time in real life. But in my lovely fantasy land where I'm the best thing since sliced bread, and also the worst thing, yeah, no, I'm always winning in my head. But there is definitely there's a Greek chorus. If it's funny because I will even talk about my current self and my future self as if they're two different people. I will make myself into a tribe. Even when I'm not, even without the talking of the tribe in my head, it's a tribe. There's no escaping it.
So like your future self is arguing with your current self a little bit?
So my current self is a selfish bitch and she wants to do whatever she wants, and future self is begging to get some attention, and I have to take care of her because if I watching current self and future self don't take care of her, then no one else will, because I'm the
I
only
see.
one who knows she exists because it's my future. No one will take care of her. So that's actually how I manage to organize myself at all, is by saying, listen, she needs you. Get up. You have to get up. Yeah, that's why I got out of bed this morning for the exam. It's like, you have to get up because future Gray needs to pass this exam. She needs to get up and take this test.
Yeah, that's
So,
really interesting because
yeah.
so it works. What you're saying sounds like it works. It sounds like, it's not true, but it
No,
works.
it's not. It's a complete. Well, it's funny because I know
Yeah.
it's bullshit, but it's some weep woo made up NF shit. Talk to your future self to discover your true self, to know who you're real, like whatever. But it works, and I feel
Yeah.
better. I feel better when I do take care of future me and I pay attention to how I'm gonna feel and how am I gonna feel if I decide to lay in bed all day. I'm gonna feel like crap. So I have to take care of who's going to feel like crap in 2 hours if I don't get out of bed. And
Yeah.
that person she matters just as much as current Gray does, who wants to lay in bed all day. So it's kind of interesting how you can You
Yeah.
don't have to trick yourself into take caring of yourself.
Can we talk a little bit about the Karens as well? How you see that playing out?
I have never Karened in public. I'm very
Okay.
good at dealing with Karens as someone who's worked in customer service for a long time because I will let people walk over. I will make whatever needs to work in the moment.
Let's give context too a little bit, just in
Oh,
case people don't know. Yeah.
they made a class in the OP class that basically said anyone who has double activated DE, savior DE, or masculine DE, they might Karen out. I am all three of these things, and as such, I've never. Karen is just someone who's overreactive to a particular. Oftentimes, they will lash out at the tribe because they feel like they need to beat the tribe down in order to have permission to do what they did. Or if they do something, they then freak out that the tribe is judging them for it. So it's a lot of real insecurity around the DI. There's no screw you, I'm doing it. There's a lot of no, you have to give me permission, and you are coming after me, and you were the worst thing ever. And
Right.
I've never done that in public. Have I done that at home? When I'm fighting with my husband, 100%. And I've done that when fighting with friends too. So I am not innocent. I am that person. I try really hard not to be.
Right.
It's the uglier side of myself for sure.
No, because I mean, looking at someone with masculine TE all the time, doing their thing, it's sometimes you forget that they have feelings. Sometimes you forget that and they forget it too. It's like when they come out, the demon feelings, like they're always there, right? You're not ever, yeah. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your feelings, how you actually have them?
No, I don't want to tell you about my feelings at all, but I'm going.
Yeah. Right.
So I have to serve the tribe and tell them about my feelings. But it's so funny. So how do I put this into words? Okay, so the tough thing is I don't feel like I'm allowed to have emotions. The other weekend, I was having a disagreement with my husband, and no one was right. It was just one of those times where it's just friction. It's just no one's right, no one's wrong. But I was sitting there and I was sobbing because I was just so upset. And he's like, why are you crying so much? And I'm like, because I'm not supposed to be. I'm not supposed to be like this. I'm not supposed to be so upset. There's something wrong with me that I'm so upset right now. He's like, don't you think that might be why you're crying so much? Is because you think you're not allowed to? And I'm like, yes. Just like, yes, I know, but I can't stop. And I can't, it feels completely out of control. And it feels like I have no handle on it. And it hurts. It hurts so bad to feel like I'm completely out into crazy land, and it feels like I've been swept away by a monster who doesn't. It feels like something other than me, but it is me, and that's the thing that's difficult.
Well, like just from observing on the outside, that sort of switch is like a drastic change. It's like from like all the way left field to all the way right field, and it's like, and it's like people who are balanced don't have that drastic, like I have it too because I've got the demon feelings, right?
Right.
But like they don't have that drastic switch. They're letting them out a little bit all the time. Like they're not left field all the time.
Right.
They're middle. Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, have you been able to express your feelings more now that you've been in all this self-growth and stuff like that?
So there's two things that I do. First and foremost, what I do is I used to so I told you about that disagreement. So I used to say, okay, we had a fight and this happened and he said this and I said this and this and this and this. And I would expect you to infer as the chemicals inside of me increase, I would expect you to psychically know that I'm having feelings instead of telling you I was really upset with myself. I was having these emotions and I'm trying to even right now remember, and I can feel it in my like chest. I'm remembering how it felt. And I'm like, it's okay that I am live having this little wave because it will pass as soon as I move to the house. No, I identify with it. Movable. And the other thing I do is every single day, and this sucks because I forget, but every single day, what I try to do is I try to say, okay, what are you grateful for? And I have like a quick, like, your husband, your dog, your friends, your family, like blah, 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 blah. And then I'll hit something. And again, the chemicals will hit. I'm like, ooh, I really do feel grateful for that today. Wow. And I'll just enjoy it. I'll just enjoy that feeling for a second. It's intense and I like want to cry about it. And I'm just like, whew. Okay, I had the big feeling today. And I just let it happen. And I'm just like, okay, it's a good feeling. So I can kind of like trick, like, it's okay to have a feeling because it's good. And you're not about to cry about being grateful. Totally am about to cry about being grateful, but it's fine. It's good. And just like let it kind of wash over. And now we're done. And we're going to go do
Yeah,
something else.
really
And
good.
that's like something I've been trying to do. I've been trying to do it a little more with sadness too, with varying results. And by varying, I mean not very good ones at all. But start with gratitude because it keeps the demons at bay. So
Yeah. No, it's really good because like I also identify with that. Like you get hurt and then you just don't let anyone see it, and then you just keep getting hurt and then you just don't let anyone see it, and then all of a sudden it just
yeah,
all comes out, right?
we're not allowed. We're not allowed to have feelings. Those are
Right. Yeah.
for
And then like
people.
and then also expecting people to know that they like to take responsibility, like to know that they've done that, that
Right.
they're responsible for my feelings, right?
Yeah.
It's like, no,
Everyone.
it's not my feelings. I'm not responsible for my own. It's their fault, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of that. A lot of projection. A lot of
Right.
just a lot of weakness. Honestly, that to me, the forcing the thing I've begun. I'm changing the script instead of saying I'm weak for having feelings. I'm trying to change it to I'm weak when when I make other people responsible for them because even if let's say someone did say a heinous thing like they said you're a terrible person, you're a terrible wife, you're going to be a terrible mother, nobody loves you and you should go die in a hole, like that's hurtful. Thinking about it, thinking about somebody saying that is hurtful. And also still my feelings. Doesn't
Hmm.
matter how mean it is, doesn't matter
Yeah.
what they're saying, they're still mine. And
What
just
about things? Yeah. What about things like misconceptions as well? Like someone didn't actually mean to hurt you, but you got really hurt. Like I don't know.
you
Do,
just
do you
gotta.
get that sometimes
Oh
as
yeah,
well?
I had a disagreement with a friend the other day, and just he just sent me something, and I just didn't care for it. And this instead of freaking out at him like I normally would have, I just said, "Are you sure you wanted to send that to me?" Like, just asked him, like, "Are you sure? Is this who you meant to send it to?" Like, I don't. This is kind of not. I don't like this. And he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." I'm like, yeah, no problem. Like, I don't like it.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
just once if I just say I don't like it, it's a lot. It's kind of hard to argue with that. It's like a lot more solid than I realized. Like you can kind of really just say no, I don't like it.
So another thing is like when your feelings do actually end up getting hurt, then like the next few days, maybe you'll go ranting about it so that it never happens again, like sort of like setting boundaries, sort of thing. Do you
Um, I don't
do you know what
rant.
I'm talking about?
I do. I don't rant to that person per se who hurt my
Right.
feelings because usually I stuff them down. I might have a fight with them in that moment and then lie and say, "No, I'm not angry. I'm not mad at you. You're just wrong." And I wouldn't be so fired up if you weren't so wrong all the time. Like I just can't help that you just don't know what you're talking about. Like that, I'll do something like that in person, and then I'll tell everyone of my like, "Oh my god, I can't believe what this person said. I'm so upset. I can't believe it. Like, can you believe this? Like, really, tribe, come confirm that I'm right." Because I know I'm right and I am not having feelings at all. Totally not doing that. And so I will, yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, really good. Yeah.
So
So then, okay, we have a question here from Sadet. What's it like to have an NF inner world? How would you describe it?
um
It's double feminine too.
yeah, it's a fairy. There's a fairy. Okay, so a couple things. First and foremost, it definitely feels like there's a fairy on the inside. And that's why I thought like I read the ENFP descriptions. It's like you're all over the place and you're light and you like pretty things and you like puppies and rainbows. And I'm like, I like puppies and rainbows and I'm all girly. And it's like, no, you're not. But it feels that way. I feel really soft and girly and NF inner world. Um,
I mean, it's going to be hard, like sleep last as well.
It's well, it's just it literally I can't part of it is that it literally is the weep woo, the mushy, the spiritual like I have a very I have started becoming more spiritual, but I really don't talk about it. I really it's I pray before bed. I don't have any specific religion. I am monotheist and of the Judeo-Christian variety. Not like really couldn't tell you more than that. I'm not stressed about it. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I have no strict. I don't go to church. I don't do any of that. But that is something that I've started doing.
Mhm.
And this is the first time I've ever said it, so now I'm now having chemicals. So I'm like, I'm exposed. But I
Yeah.
feel, for me, I think like any of the spirituality stuff, it's like, don't talk about that. That's private. And
Right.
when you do it in private. Like, and I am like, if you do it in public, that's like having sex in public. It's talking about religion and spirituality and what it means to be a human being. That's
I
like,
mean,
you know.
um, what about like also just like very childish in nature as well?
that's
Um,
that's why I
like
think
like
fairies.
you said, liking fairies and unicorns and silly
Yeah.
things like this.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that's why I think of fairies as like, like cherubs and fairies, like tiny, immature things, small and immature and sparkles and light. And then there's like a dark and twisted side to it where you don't know where you're going and it's scary because you don't, how deep does yourself go? I don't fucking know. Like, like I don't know how deep it goes and I don't want to find out because what if I get trapped in there? And what if I'm alone forever because I'm trapped in my own head? And that's terrifying. So let's
Yeah.
not think about that, like, but yeah, I don't know. It's very difficult.
So this is Leon's type twin. I know you
Yeah,
know
Whitney.
Leon.
I know Whitney. Yeah,
Okay, you know Whitney. Okay.
yeah,
So they're both double masculine like you in
yeah,
this with the same NF inner world, but it's their savior. The NF
yeah,
is their savior, right?
yeah.
Do you see that something in them that's sort of yourself? Can you talk about that?
I vibe super hard with both of them. I don't know if they vibe with me because I fucking inner NF. I'm like I vibe. I don't care if you vibe, but I love talking to. I don't get to chat with Whitney much, but I love talking to Leon. And he and he like slows me down so much, and I get to just be like, we're in the vibe. And we're chilling. It's nice,
Okay.
but I don't do that with a lot of people because it's kind of I feel like I'm allowed to do that with Leon because I know he knows how intense the punch is, so he knows how hard it is to be softer. Like I really feel like he gets it, and because I feel like he gets it, I'm like so I can let down the walls with you because you understand how difficult it is to let down the walls in the first place. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
Really
I
good.
don't know. I don't even know if
Um,
that's true about how he feels.
do you ever journal or meditate? Someone says that might be good. I mean, I think.
Yes, sort of. I don't meditate in the very deliberate sense, but I will lay down. We have a routine every time we go to bed. We brush our teeth. We're usually still talking about whatever it is we're doing while we're brushing our teeth, and then we go. My husband Drew goes and stretches, and then grab a pillow off the bed and I put it on the floor and I put music on and I just lay there, and it's my wind down time, and I try to not so much stop thinking, but slow down the thinking. So I'll pick something like Moonlight Sonata, or I'll pick something like Gymnopédies #1 by Satie. And if it's slower, it's just about slowing down. I try to breathe with that. And then when
Yeah.
try to breathe with that, the thoughts slow down with the breathing. And it's just about not so much digging deep into the feelings in that moment because if I do that, then the chemicals hit and then everything is actually going upwards and increasing in energy. But I need to bring it down a notch. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, so I guess that in general, the question is more generally, how do you access your sleep? And I guess a little bit there. Um, do you also identify with the fact that like you're just always running, doing things and never slowing down, not able to take a beat sort of
I
thing?
think you and I interact a lot interpersonally. I think that's true. But yeah,
Right.
no, I'm constantly going. I currently work part time, like 20 hours a week, and then I'm also doing school full time. And that's just how I am. And I don't. Oh, I play D&D every Monday and Wednesday, and then I hang out with friends every Tuesday. So then I'm booked solid Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday and Friday I usually end up. Hey, do you want to go hang out with this friend? I've got a phone call scheduled for Thursday night. Friday, we're not doing something, but Saturday night we're doing something. Like both my husband and I are pretty high energy people, so we're just going, just nonstop. So yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
is there another way other than the Moonlight Sonata and like the lying on the ground breathing that you access your sleep? Like going into that, I guess we're just kind of stuck on the NF inner world a little bit, but
No, that's okay.
yeah.
I think what's hard is that God, it just feels so good to get shit done. Like why would I stop? I used to when I was I used to actually be more even keeled. I think when I was working, when we lived in Connecticut, I had a 45-minute drive to and from work, and I worked 6 days a week for a long time, and then I kind of dropped down to 5 days a week when it was a brand new salon. I'm a dog groomer. Sorry, it was a brand new salon, and we had to get it started from the ground up, so I had to work a ton. But then when we had other employees, then I could work less. um, and when I was driving, I would play music, and that for me is a big part of it. Is music is how I regulate, and I listen to the same stuff
Mhm.
over and over again. And I would drive home, and God, all the traffic, too many people in Hartford on 84 East at 6:30 p.m. every night. Just too many people. But it was good because then I could sit if I needed to just listen to a song about a breakup that I'm not having right then, but I had a breakup at some point and it was sad, and then I just cry. And that I was
Right.
crying like once a week then. I used to cry like once a week to get it out, and now my drive is a lot shorter. I do school from home. I can do without having that interim of
Yeah.
emotion. And I really feel like I was more even keeled when I had that break. So now I'm trying to get it back into my life. So
Yeah. Right.
yeah.
I mean, so processing your emotions like that, like, are there a lot of things that you feel are still unprocessed because you're not doing a lot of sleep in your life?
I have really big reactions to a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I imagine feminine FI, especially as a demon, it is like a ping pong ball in the machine. And for most people, rather most people with masculine FI, it is much more like they're sitting in the middle, and they're kind of like they're just swaying gently back and forth. They're not pinging all over the place. So because the emotions, I would argue, even if you have sleep as a demon, but it's masculine FI, you're just not flying as all over the place as much. And I really do think I just have a lot of feelings. I think it's just big. They're big feelings. So it takes longer to get through them. And I've
Yeah.
been through my fair amount of shit in my life. So, I think there is a lot to dig deep
Yeah.
on.
Okay, let's change the channel a bit. Let's talk about your SE a little bit and how you're more responsible to that than your NI. Have you seen
Oh
that a
yeah.
little bit that you're
Oh, yes. So I'm the daredevil of my house. I've got my fair share of speeding tickets, which runs my family. So I love if we need to get somewhere and we're running late, I drive. In fact, I drive all the time because my husband, who has not been typed, we think he's a single observer. He does not like driving. It kind of stresses him out a little bit more. And I'm like, oh, I'll zip through the lanes. I know what's going on, and I'm really comfortable doing that. When we went to Colorado, um, so we went oh my god, whitewater rafting. We went whitewater rafting, and we went on the highest difficulty. I've never done it before. We went on the highest difficulty that we could, and there's a part where we stopped, and you could climb up the rocks and jump into the gorge, and that's what I did. I climbed up like 30 feet in the air, and I jumped right on into freezing cold water because it's all snow runoff, and that was exhilarating, and I loved it, and that's my whole life. I used to be a pole vaulter. Um, I was really big into track. I went to states a whole bunch of times. I was varsity my freshman year of high school. I have more things in my head, and I lost them. Oh, I've been indoor skydiving, like just things like that. It's just like I'm a very physical person. I'm extremely physical. I want to do a lot of things. I'm very aggressive with it. So it's just very present in my life. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I also have the SE, and I wouldn't say I'm as physical as you. But
Not many are.
but I mean, like, what I do see is like the scanning all the time, always trying to be hyper aware of your surroundings. Like, yeah, just you hear something in the distance, you automatically know what it is. If you don't, you sort of want to know what it is or whatever.
Yeah, I think interestingly, so my old boss used to make fun of me because I would be grooming a dog, and the door every time the door opened, the alarm would just do a ding because that way just was like, oh, front door is like open, right? And every time my head would just snap like that, like
Yeah,
so fast I would react to it because it was just like new thing. Oh, okay, just a customer coming in. Goes just a customer coming in. And it's like every time I was just huge reaction because I was like, what is it? What do we need to do? What are we doing? Like I was just ready like to move, and the dogs would do it too. So she would just laugh because the entire salon, including me, would just snap to attention. And she just thought it was the funniest thing that we all, like me and the dogs, just reacting compulsively. Um, so
Right. It's kind of like you're training them to, or I guess they would do that instinctively as well.
yeah, we're just, if you just started like doing something else in time with that ding, like, like giving me a candy, I'd like snap my head and be like, I'm hungry. Like you could definitely Pavlov train, I think, masculine SE savior really quickly, because we're just
Right.
so tuned into the sensory. And to kind of relate it to not relating to NI, like demon planning is, I think, that's part of why a lot of people saw ESTJ in my life and they were seeing that SI. And I'm like, I hear you. But also, like, all of my plans are like loosey goosey 10-year plans. And I have no idea what I'm doing tomorrow. I couldn't tell you. Like, I have to like, I don't like it. Like, stop asking me about what I'm doing. Like, go away. And it's just very, I'm like, listen, I hear you on, like, with my YouTube channel. My husband will ask me, so what are you doing for this? What are you doing for that? I'm like, listen, I love you, but we're not there yet. We're not there yet. Over and over, I say, we're not there yet. We're not
Yeah.
planning. We are not talking about it until we are there, because then I will know what to do. Because planning, I don't know how to do, but SE, I can do that. In the moment
Right.
decision, let's go. So
What about in terms of opportunities and looking for opportunities in the moment? Maybe also a fear of regret I've seen as well associated with that. Does that resonate with you?
every time I walk into a place, I think about, could I do this job? Could I become a this? And oftentimes I think yes, because I'm full of myself. But also I think it's literally could I do this? What does it take for me to become a this? And I'll start just Googling. Like, and it's not even that I want to do it. I don't even want to. That's what's crazy. But I have to know, what is this an option for me? Could I really do it? And I'm like constantly like, more option. I could do this. I could do this. I could expend energy in this way. Like, I think that for me is like, is there another place where I could expend
Right.
energy? Another thing I could be doing? It's just addicted. Like, it feels like an addiction. I did it the other day. I walked into a nail salon. It's a freaking nail salon. I don't like dog grooming. I don't want to do it anymore. Becoming a nail esthetician would be just like dog grooming, except with people. So then I have to have conversations with people all day. And God knows I freak out about that, right? And it's like, but what if I could do it? What if I did this and I could make this kind of money and I could own my own place and I could do that? And I'm like, but I don't want to do that in dog grooming. So why would I want to do it here? But I couldn't help myself from asking all of the questions. Even though I'm like, I know I don't want to do it, I still have to ask the question. It's
Yeah.
just like really compulsive.
I mean, the way it's set up too, it seems like in a crisis situation, you wouldn't be the one to freeze. You'd be the one to like
Yeah.
right away go and dive in and tackle the problem, like be on the problem as soon as it shows up.
Well,
Do you?
that's why I am so good at customer service, because the instant that someone comes in with a problem, I'm like, what do you need? Tell me what's going wrong. And they can see I am serious 100%. If I go up to someone and I say, what do I need to do to fix it? They know I will do if I say, I'm sorry, I can't do anything about this. They know I mean it. They know
Yeah.
I genuinely went through everything. They know, they can feel this person. And this is just complete, I could be full of shit right now, but it really felt like the reason I had such good numbers and the reason I did so well is that they knew that if I was at a dead end, that it was a real dead end, because nothing would have stopped me otherwise. And a lot of times I could get stuff done that other people couldn't get done, because I don't know why. I don't really care why they couldn't get it done, but I got it done. And that the customer's like, okay, you're the only person I want to take care of me now, because I'm always able to find another solution. I'm always
Right.
able to get it done.
Yeah.
So.
Really good. Yeah. Um, what about in terms of, because I know you are doing the double observing, but in terms of like going through patterns over and over again until you finally say, okay, this is a pattern, sort of thing. Do you get that?
I have a wall of sticky notes up on my wall in front of me, actually, because this is my desk where I work. And so what I've done is, here, let me put on my glasses so I can actually read. But something I have up there is like, you work best under pressure. And I have, people are just people, not villains. And I have, you are powerful, use it wisely. And I have a bunch of little things like, oh, here's a good one. Planning for 5 to 10 minutes saves hours of pain. Like, geez, what are you grateful for? Remind yourself of at least one thing every day, and book time every day to do nothing, like stuff like that, and that's like that. I do have a wall of patterns. That way I can stop forgetting who I am. So
Does anyone else go and see your patterns and think you're like a crazy person, or?
it's in my bedroom.
Okay.
So they better not be coming into my bedroom
Right.
without
Yeah.
permission, first and foremost, because I'll bite their heads off. And secondly, my husband approves, so I care about that.
Awesome.
And two, whenever I tell anyone in the growth community, they're like, "Oh, that's so good for
Yes.
you." So I've got nothing
100%.
but positive validation, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
like, I'll kill you if you disagree with it. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just to clarify, don't kill me because I thought it was a great idea. I was just asking for the
I
others,
know you like it. I know. No, I
Yeah.
don't worry about you. You're in my
Yeah.
little FI box. You're
All
nice.
right. Awesome.
Don't worry. The
um,
will protect you.
okay, let's talk about your YouTube channel a bit. What your plans are for it, I guess. What the purpose of it is.
Actually, look at I have a whole list of things, not that you can read it because I'm not showing it off, but I have a whole list of things as I peacock my own eye. I planned
Right.
out till April, guys. I did it. But basically what the channel is about is I'm kind of bringing into my understanding of personality, and it's going to be just my understanding, my outline for it, and then I'm just going to talk about pretty much every system there is out there. I'm going to talk about MBTI. I'm going to talk about objective personality. I'm going to talk about having the camera. Talk about Enneagram. Talk about Big Five. Talk about attachment styles, love languages, all that jazz. Get into the history of psychology. It's literally just going to be, hey, it's kind of hard to just have all of these resources in one place. I think I have a really good grip on this, and I am tired of it being misrepresented. So, you know what? Why am I sitting on my ass not telling people what I know, what I have genuinely studied for years, and getting mad at other people for not representing it clearly? It's like, what? This is such a waste of energy. You know what I could just do? Just do it my own damn self. So I was
Right.
like, fuck it. Fuck it. I'm just going to do it myself. And
Right.
there we go. So that's the whole thing. And right now it's in its baby stages. We are talking about my system first and foremost because I'm a narcissist. So we're starting with me. And then from there, we'll get into the more popular systems such as MBTI, Enneagram, OPS, all that good stuff. So I will explain my perspective, the positives and the negatives of all of the various systems. For example, MBTI, one of the reasons it's so good is because it's so simple. It's really easy to keep track of 16 types. One
Yeah.
of the main problems with like OPS is that it's extremely complicated and nuanced and really hard to get into. Enneagram, super duper useful for self growth, really impossible to type yourself with because it's so many of those fears are somewhat universal. So it's really hard to type yourself with Enneagram and actually find the self growth. Once you find it, Enneagram's an amazing tool. Hard to use though. So
Yeah.
like that's a kind of conversation I want to be engendering and want to be creating is basically, what's the good, what's the bad, how does it work, does it work, and history. And then eventually I kind of just want to bring people on, just TE talk it out. Like, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? How do you like it? Do you not like it? Like, what's going on? Well, how do you use it? And just kind of get process with people who aren't me because I don't know everything. So I need the tribe so that way I can know everything, so.
Right. Yeah. Really good. Is there anything you might want to talk about your type that maybe that other people of your same type would want, I don't know, can resonate with, some struggles, something you've overcome, some tips, blaster tips?
You just, in many ways, it is difficult to be someone with masculine DE. It just is because the compulsion to be there for the tribe is really intense. And even when you try to be there for the tribe, it comes out the wrong way. It's not appreciated. It's not cared for. It's hard. It just is
Yeah.
hard. But the good news is that when you have the best weapon anyone could ever ask for, you really do. Like, and no one else gets weaponry like we do. No one else is able to just and this sounds terrible. No one else is absolutely capable of demolishing somebody when it needs to be done. So
Mhm.
yeah, we're kind of, I'm trying to work on the positive self-talk, and a lot of it is reframing, I am, in some ways, a monster, but I am the best damn monster you're ever going to see. And you know
Right.
what? I'm proud of it. And I'm
Right.
going to do it with control and with care instead of like a wild careening battery ram. So it's learning. It's not about stopping being who you are. It's about deliberateness, and it's about control and really reining it in. And when you use it, do it on purpose. Don't do it by accident. Don't be just careening off the walls. Do it from a place of security, not a place of fear. That's the main thing that I think that I'm not there yet. I am not there yet, but I am. That is the goal: is to be when I am punching and just demolishing somebody. That it's not that everyone can see that I'm scared. It's like, dude, you really don't know what you're doing, and I'm really worried about you, and you need to make it work because this is not working. That's the message I want to give. Not you are scaring me and I'm going to kill you for it. Like, no, we don't want that. That's gross. No one wants
Yeah.
that. So
I mean, we were talking a little bit just before the call about the intensity, like the double masculine intensity in the animal, and so you were specifically about my double masculine consume,
yeah,
but like also you must get that reaction that you have that double masculine intense play like right in everyone's face, right?
yeah.
And I've seen you actually react to someone saying that. And it's like, oh, well, no, no, no. This is me toned down. I'm not intense. So what is that like? What is that like that you can never actually be your full self? Like you have to always hold yourself back.
Exhausting. Like you'll hear this from every single play savior. We're exhausted all the time, and being double masculine play means that I have to be more in control of myself, and even then I'm still kicking everyone's ass. So you have to think about the amount of energy think about how much energy I brought to this 1 hour conversation, and I feel like, oh yeah, this is really calm for me. This is like, oh, I'm high energy, but I'm calm. It's like, this is not calm for most people. This is out of control for most people, and that's really it's really uncomfortable. It actually kind of hurts every time I hear it, but because I'm like, do you know how hard I'm fighting to not be me? Do you know how hard it is to not be me? Do you know how much I want to break? And I'm not giving myself a break for you, but oh well, I
Right.
can be me at home. My husband loves that I'm me, which is really great. And I asked, I didn't just assume, I did do the cheeky ask. Do you really like me?
Yes.
Am I
Yes.
am I
Yes.
really a good person? No, no, he has no.
Yeah, no.
It's really funny. He has no fear of me. He literally described it like, like when a bigger kid puts their hand on the little kid's forehead and just like watches them try to hit them and they can't reach. That's me and you, and I'm the big kid. And I was like, oh, okay. So he's not afraid of me at all, which is
Yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah.
So I get to be
Yeah.
me at home, where he's not afraid of me, and that's good. It really sucks that other people are kind of it's hard. It is really hard, but I know that I am
Yeah.
doing
You
my
also
best.
mentioned it that you come from a family, I guess, with masculine DE in it a little bit.
We have a family of, I think, a lot of sensory, a lot of SE. I think my dad is definitely, I think, some sort of SE savior, EP. I think so. I think he's some sort of like ESTP or ESFP. But my
But
older
lots of fighting
sister,
energy.
just a lot of like just physical, just like we roughhouse like crazy. But then my sister is like, holy crap, like you want to see like I feel I've never felt like a powerhouse because my sister exists, and she's like, she will destroy you, you know. And so she's powerful, and I get the hell out of her way. And it's like, yeah, all those people afraid of me, just you wait. You have no idea what real power looks like. And just having a big family, and then also having a really high roughhousing, so my sensory is validated, and then my sister being really masculine DE, that's validated because my mom wanted us to be really strong and independent, which is good. But also,
Right.
it's bad when you're it can be bad. Not My mom was wonderful and she did great before anyone says anything, but it can be really difficult when you have someone who's already tilted towards kicking the ass of the tribe all the time.
Yeah. And
It can
validating
be
that.
Right. She later very quickly said, "You know the reason you don't have friends is because you're an asshole, right?" And I was like, "Oh, mom!" So she double decided hard, but like, whew, I think we kind of got encouraged a little too much to be, um.
Right.
So yeah,
Really good. Awesome. Well, I really appreciate like all of your honesty and
I
yeah,
gotta make it clear, you know.
yeah, yeah, really good. Thank you for coming out, and thank you everybody for
For having
watching.
me.
Yeah. Check out Gray's YouTube channel. It's in the
Yeah,
description. Have a good
please
one.
check it out. Don't judge too hard.
Cool.